Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into Key Time Sports. It's Key Time coming back to talk about the NBA regular season. We are a few weeks away from the All Star break, and I want to get into some of these teams that have a good record, but this is just the halfway point of the season. So let's see what they can do. Let's see what these teams can do later on in the season. Now, the first team that I'm going to talk about is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, Cleveland Cavaliers, they have surprised everybody. They've even surprised me. I expected them to be one of the top five teams in the Eastern Conference, but they have just they were on a 15 game winning streak at the earlier point in the regular season. And 12 of those games when they was on that 15 game winning streak, they held their opponents under 100 points. Where have you heard that in this day and time when everybody in the NBA scores 100 points almost automatically? Where have you heard a team keeping 12 of their opponents under 100 points and doing it on a consistent basis? And right now the Cavaliers, they are 34-5. Let's see if they can keep this momentum going. Let's see if they can keep this momentum going on after the All-Star break, because after the All-Star break, I always said that's where teams separate themselves from the content. They separate themselves from the pretenders, and we see the contenders come out after the All-Star break. So I see the Cleveland Cavaliers led by Donovan Mitchell, and then they have Evan Mobley, and their bench production has increased since last year. So I could see the Cavaliers being one of those last ranked teams in the Eastern Conference, and even making an appearance in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, that is no slight to the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics are 28-12 right now. We all know that the Boston Celtics will be in the thick of things come April, May, and into June. But as of right now, they are just going through the motions right now, because they know that they know they can be no worse than second in the East. Now, the Celtics and Cavaliers, they still have three more divisional games before the regular season ends. So there's still a lot on the table to think about and read about when it comes to both of these teams. The Boston Celtics, we know that they are led by Jason Tatum. They have Jaylen Brown. Then you have Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis coming off the bench. Now, Kristaps Porzingis, he hasn't played at all this season. He hasn't. Now, he's still nursing an injury, and from what I'm hearing, the speculation is to have him back after the All-Star break met March, have him in the middle of March going into the playoffs so he can get acquainted with his players, and they can have him ready for that playoff run or future championship run that they are trying to do. So as of right now, I see the Eastern Conference, as a two-team race between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics. Now, I'm going to get into the other three teams that I think are just average but won't be able to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, the New York Knicks, hey, they've had a good momentum shift when it comes to their schedule. They're winning games, but I would say for the last 3 or 4 years, we've seen this, and then their offense starts to sputter in the playoffs. Last season, we saw where in the regular season, the Knicks, they were doing great. And then when it came to time for the Knicks to depend on their bench to will them to victory in the playoffs, they did not do that. They did not do that. So when it comes to the New York Knicks, all you New York Knicks fans out there, I don't care if you got one of the best benches in the NBA, because My Tom Thibodeau, he always likes to run his starters and bench into the ground in the regular season, and when it comes to playoff time, they are going to be so tired and winded that they're not going to be able to play a full 48 or 53 minutes like they need to in the playoffs when you need your bench players. Your bench players during the season, they just going through the motions. But when it comes to the playoffs, you are going to need your bench more than ever in the playoffs. And I don't see the New York Knicks getting out of the second round of the playoffs. So all you New York Knicks fans out there, Stephen A. Smith, I'm pretty sure you probably listening to me. That's where I got your New York Knicks at this season. As far as the Milwaukee Bucks, average team. They have Giannis Antetokounmpo. They have a good bench. They are led by Doc Rivers. But do I see them making it to the Eastern Conference Finals? No, I see a team. I see a more offensively dynamic team like the Orlando Magic, who has been to the playoffs the last 2 years and has gained experience over their last playoff entrances. So the Orlando Magic, they can give the Milwaukee Bucks a run for their money. Milwaukee Bucks currently sitting right now, they are top four. They are 22-17. Orlando Magic, 23-19. The Indiana Pacers, 22-19. So one thing about it is the Orlando Magic, they lead the Indiana Pacers right now by a half game. Okay, by a half game. Now, this is just before the All-Star break comes, because All-Star break will be happening in 3 weeks. So let's see what momentum they can carry between now and the All-Star break, and let's see if that momentum still carries over from the All-Star break, because I cannot tell you how many times that I've looked throughout the NBA over the past 8, 10 years, and a team that has started off the season great, then they get to the All-Star break, and then after the All-Star break, it seems like they go into a downward spiral. That is the worst time to go into a downward spiral, after the All-Star break. So that's all I have to say for the Eastern Conference. I am going to shift over to the Western Conference, and I have been saying this all season. Anybody can come out of the West. Anybody. I mean, you look, there is all 10 of these teams that are in the bracket right now, they can come out of the West. Now, OKC, I see them going to the Western Conference Finals because they have a young team. Even though that their team is one of the youngest in the NBA, over the last 3 years they've been gaining experience. The first year with this group, they made it to the play-in tournament, didn't get in. The second year, they made it to the first round and lost in the first round. And last season, the OKC Thunder, they made it to the conference semis, and they wasn't able to get over the hump because the Dallas Mavericks, they won it. They won the series in 6 games. Now this year, they believe that they have the team. They believe that they have the players and the coaches to get them over the finish line and win that elusive first championship in franchise history for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, they are led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He is a walking double double. I can say that. Now, for the Houston Rockets, they are a young and up and coming team. They haven't made it to the playoffs with this group yet. I'm expecting them to make it to the playoffs and gain experience from them making the playoffs, like winning a first round series and then going to the second round and possibly losing in the second round to a more superior team. as I can say, Memphis, we know Memphis, led by Ja Morant, is going to be in the thick of things. We know that. But like I've been saying over the last couple of years, excluding last year, Memphis, they've been in the playoffs, but they haven't been able, when they get to that threshold, they haven't been able to propel themselves to winning a series over a team like Denver or Minnesota, like they've been having to run into over the last couple of years. So as far as Denver concerned, we see what Denver is doing right now. They still led by that walking triple double Nikola Jokic. They have Jamal Murray, the flamethrower, as I like to call him, because he can get hot at any minute, and he said that he feel like he can make any and every shot when he shoots the ball on the floor. So that is the kind of confidence I would like to have in a shooter when it comes to me being a head coach on my team, because I need a shooter and a sniper like Jamal Murray. I need that. So the Denver Nuggets, one thing that I have a problem with them, and as far as the level of trepidation I have with them, is their bench. Their bench is almost non-existent. When it comes to their bench statistics, they are in the bottom half of the NBA as far as their bench bench statistics. Excuse me. Now, and exact to be exact, they are ranked 19th in bench efficiency when it comes to points, shooting percentage, rebounds, and everything else. Assists when it comes to the bench, everything else. They are at the bottom half of the league. So the Denver Nuggets, they are gonna have to they are gonna have to switch some things up, possibly bring in somebody before the trade deadline starts, because if the Nuggets want to get further than they did last year, now like I said, we expected Minnesota to give Denver a run for their money last year, but we didn't expect Minnesota to win. Now we see that Minnesota isn't a joke. The Dallas Mavericks, like I said, they have been in the mud. And like I said, now it's gonna be tough for them to get back to the NBA Finals. But the Dallas Mavericks and the Timberwolves are in the same exact boat. Not to mention that both LA teams are in the same exact boat. Now, I did see my team, the Lakers, last night. I did see LeBron go off, AD, and everybody else. Austin Reeves, he was a contributing factor. And that defense for the Los Angeles Lakers came to play last night. They was down by 12 heading into the fourth quarter, and they willed their team to victory. Now, let's see what the Lakers, we had this same type of energy going into the middle of January last year. They had some easy teams on their schedule. We said that we thought that they were going to sweep their schedule in January, and find out that they were losing to teams like a Utah Jazz, a Portland Trailblazers, New Orleans Pelicans on a consistent basis. So I am not going to say that they are going to win their next 2 or 3 games outright, but what I can say is I'm confident that the Lakers defense can show what they did last night. I'm confident that they can do that for multiple games down the stretch. I really am. It's just that the players, everybody on that team has got to have the mental capacity to defend their opponents for 24 seconds, because that's how long the shot clock is. As long as you defend your opponent for 24 seconds and do not let them get a shot off, you know that's a 24-second shot clock violation, and the ball will be back over in your court. So Los Angeles Lakers, they have a ton of stuff to work on, and let me tell you, I have been looking at all of the wildfires that have been affecting everybody who lives out in the Palestines in Palestine, California, all of those properties have been just ramshacked. And let me tell you, over here at Key Town Sports and on my other show, Key City Sports, we are praying for everybody who has been affected in the Palestine's fire massacre. That has just been tragic for everybody to watch throughout this country. That has been. Now back to now back to the Lakers. The Lakers and all the LA teams have given the LA residents and natives, fans, hope, and just to get their mind off of what has transpired over the first 2 weeks of 2025 in LA. We all know that we did not want to have to go into another year where we see another city going up in flames, another wild shooting massacre that has happened like in New Orleans, and they still doing an investigation on it. Now I'm not gonna say much about that investigation, but hopefully planted whoever planted the seed of evil when it comes to New Orleans, hopefully they get, more than likely they will get arrested. And I've heard some news that it was somebody that started a little fire and it transpired into those wildfires that we see in LA. So hopefully they find the right person when they go through these investigations in LA and in New Orleans, because we do not want to be seeing that. We had a tough year in 2024. This year, 2025, it is going to be prosperous for everybody. No matter what you're dealing with, it is going to be prosperous. I know that I sound like I'm preaching right now, but in this day and time, we need somebody to uplift us, no matter what kind of field you are in, whether you are a journalist, a preacher, a speaker, a motivational speaker. We need somebody to uplift all of us. I need somebody to uplift me so I can give y'all this information on a daily basis like I've been doing. Now, I am going to get to these last two or three teams. No, excuse me. I'm going to get to these last three teams before I call it a day, and before I start reading up some more sports news. Now, the last three teams I want to talk about is the Sacramento Kings, the Golden State Warriors, and the Phoenix Suns. One thing about the Phoenix Suns, we know that they have the talent. We know that they have the talent. They have Devin Booker. They have Kevin Durant. They have Bradley Beal. They have Grayson Allen. He's been good from the 3-point line. They have everything. But when it comes to that benching over the last 3 years, I have been telling y'all that the benches, excuse me, that their bench, the Phoenix Suns bench is going to be their downfall. And it seems like that's what it's going to be this year. We didn't expect the Phoenix Suns to be 19-20 after 39 games. We didn't expect that. We expected them to be on the same level as the top six teams in the Western Conference Finals: the Thunder, the Rockets, the Grizzlies, the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Lakers. We expected them to be right in the thick of things, but as of right now, they are 19-20. And if the play-in tournament and the playoffs started today, don't y'all know that the Phoenix Suns would not have an invitation or an entrance into the play-in tournament or the playoffs? But like I said, we are a few weeks away from the NBA All-Star break. Let's see what kind of momentum that the Phoenix Suns can generate. Now, as far as the Sacramento Kings, a young up and coming team, I've been saying that for the last couple of years. They just fired their head coach, Mike Brown. I don't know what they fired him. Sacramento Kings, if you keep firing head coaches, you're gonna set your franchise back 3 and 4 years. Now, we still don't know what was the true reason that Mike Brown got fired. I'm still trying to look up. I'm still trying to look up news to see why he got fired so I can give y'all that news when I first hear about it. Now, the Sacramento Kings, they are 20-20 after 40 games. Let's see what the Sacramento Kings can do. Can they rise up in the Western Conference standings? Or will they just stay right where they are at and play in the play-in tournament come late March, early April? And the last team that I want to talk about before I get out of here is the Golden State Warriors. Now, the Golden State Warriors, we know that they have been a team over the last couple of years that you can't go to sleep on. They have been in the play-in tournament, and they haven't been able to make the playoffs. Steph Curry, he is 36 right. He is 36 right now. I looked at his press conference the other night. I believe that was Monday or Tuesday night that I looked at his press conference. And he had said that he didn't want the franchise to feel that they had to go to desperate measures to get another legitimate superstar in Oakland. So what Steph Curry was basically saying was, if we don't have the team this year, okay, we can take a back seat. But he said that he doesn't want to waste the latter part of the latter years of his career and not trying to be a part of a rebuilding phase. Because I don't know if we all remembered, but it was one time or another about 7-8 years ago where we could just pencil the Golden State Warriors into the finals. That's what we could do. But now we can't, since the Golden State Warriors, they traded Klay Thompson to the Dallas Mavericks. Draymond Green, Draymond Green, he's just a shell of himself right now. And he was a good three-point shooter earlier in his career, but his three-point statistics have fell by the wayside. It seems like if he cracks a double-double throughout the NBA season now, it's like it's a good achievement for him. And you got Steph Curry, who is on the back end of his career, trying to make as much money as he can and also have his team stay in playoff contention. And we have seen that. So the Golden State Warriors, hopefully you are able to turn your season around after the All-Star break, because whenever the Golden State Warriors, now I'm going to tell you, the pillar teams of the NBA, whenever they make the playoffs, it's more money for the NBA, and it is more they can sell more team apparel. Now there are a few teams that I'm going to name that the NBA cannot afford the teams to make the playoffs. The Lakers, they have to make the playoffs because we all know that the Lakers, they generate the TV ratings, they generate TV revenue, and whoever the Lakers are playing, it is must-see TV. Also with the LA Clippers. Now, I'm going to tell you a few more other teams that have entered that loop. The Dallas Mavericks with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. They are also a team that is must-watch TV. Must-see TV. The Golden State Warriors, like I just mentioned, they are must-see TV. And in the East, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Boston Celtics, the New York Knicks, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Orlando Magic, and the Indiana Pacers, all in the Eastern Conference, who are led by young players, are must-see TV. So, all of that, what they have done and what we can do and what we can wait and see is, can these teams keep the momentum going after the All-Star break. That's for all of us to wait and see and find out. It remains to be seen whether the Eastern Conference bracket is going to be like this, and if the Western Conference bracket is going to be like this come early April. And with that, those are my reactions to all of the NBA teams that are in playoff contention right now. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, click the notification bell to get notified of all of my reaction videos, shows, and other content. Also, please like, share, and follow Key City Sports on Instagram for the latest sports news information. And one last thing that I want to say, remember, the key is always on time.